All because of just 2 cents, my friends in Australia, a married couple, might see 4 years of saving for a down payment go to waste overnight. Sounds surreal, doesn't it? Here's what happened. A criminal group allegedly used AI-generated documents to commit fraud and secured nearly 1 billion Australian dollars in loans. As a result, CBA, one of the big 4 banks, reported the incident to the police themselves. Then thousands of people like my friends, ordinary people who play by the rules and work hard to save money, are the ones who end up getting kicked out of the game. Take my friends, for example. One is 32, the other 29, and together they make 220,000 Australian dollars a year, which definitely puts them in the middle class, right? To buy a house, they scrimped and saved for over a decade, and in the past 4 years, they haven't taken a single vacation and have turned down countless gatherings with friends just to scrape together that 20% down payment. In the end, just as they were about to close the deal, they'd already bought the house and settlement was just 3 weeks away. The bank suddenly notified them that the rules had changed. Why? It's all because of this AI forgery scandal. Experts speculate that the banks want to tighten their loan reviews, and in fact they've already started doing so, making it much harder to get a loan. So what does this mean? It means my friends immediately had to look for a plan B, because if they couldn't find one before settlement in 3 weeks and couldn't get a loan from the bank, they'd lose their down payment of over $200,000. I also have a friend who works at a bank in Melbourne, so I went to ask him right away. He replied with just 4 words: market disaster. He said that behind this disaster there's something called a verification tax. Sounds very technical, right? But actually, it's quite easy to understand. It's like when someone in your neighborhood damages public facilities, and instead of catching the culprit, the property management charges every household extra fees, making everyone pay for it together. Even though you clearly did nothing wrong, the bill still ends up at your door. And then, when the bank this time, or let's say the property management, gets scammed, someone takes advantage of a loophole and they lose money. It's not just CBA, right? Every year there are banks saying they might get fined. So, well, all they can do is raise the bar for approvals, add all sorts of hidden fees, and cleverly pass these costs on to ordinary people like my friend. You clearly haven't done anything wrong, yet you have to pay for someone else's mistakes. This is what's called a verification tax, but what bothers me the most, it's those parents who are nearing retirement. Why? Because a lot of kids, whether they're white or Chinese, get stuck at the down payment stage. So what do? They have no choice but to go home and ask their parents for help. I'm not just saying this is backed by data. In Australia, over 20% of people have financially supported their family members in the past 12 months. And among those who ask their parents for money, a quarter of them do it to buy a house. Now, Australians tend to buy homes later in life, so these parents who are around 60 years old, who should be enjoying their retirement, end up having to dip into their own pension funds, or even use the house they've lived in for 30 years as collateral for a reverse mortgage. Refinancing is very common in Australia. They cash out from their home equity to help their children put together a down payment. In this way, the sense of security of the older generation is used up to give the next generation a faint hope. And then the trust in this whole system starts to crumble, all because of those AI-generated fake documents made for just a couple of cents. So you might think this story is far removed from us. We always hear about banks being fined and penalized, but I actually think it's very close to us. In fact, it makes me increasingly doubt one thing. What is it? In such a complicated system, can you really be a good person?